Got a rookie moderator here. I hope I can be as good as Rove and Phil.
I had to step in last night. I don't know if you caught that or not. I had to step in early last night, and I called on Doug Smith to start.
Well, that was your first mistake.
No,
no, it was great.
First absolute great call.
Let's do that again. Let's start with Doug. Go for it, Doug.
Hello, Nick. Good afternoon. How are you today?
Doug, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. When you're looking back at the film of last night, you had a lot of guys playing a lot of different. I don't even want to call them positions because they really aren't. Is that kind of what you're going to be like? You had OG bring the ball up, Pascal bring the ball up, the guards bring the ball up. Is that what we can expect? Fans can expect from this team?
I think so, Doug. I think so. We do believe in getting it off the backboard with whoever gets it and getting out quick. Right. We think that sometimes the outlet pass delays some transition opportunities. So yeah, that's something we preach. I'd like to see, a couple guys in particular, OG you mentioned, and Pascal do it, more frequently. I think they'll be on the glass a lot, and they should have some opportunities to do it. So those two guys in particular, yeah.
We even saw it a little bit after made baskets when you were sort of just starting out, taking the ball out of the net. Is that just to get guys in flow or start plays out? Like what's the reasoning behind that?
I think we're working on getting it out a little quicker out of the net this year, Doug. It's one of those funny things that you kind of like to do, but you don't want to practice it too much because then you're assuming that it's going to be coming out of the net.
Yeah.
I like to teach that, right? But we're just trying to nearest man takes it out, nearest man for the outlet. As long as we're out and running, guys ahead of them.
And that would unlock some of maybe your half court woes from last year, or half court struggles a little bit.
Well, yeah, fully. I think anytime we could play with pace and get attack defenses while they're not quite set yet, I think puts us at an advantage to score quickly or at least get them in rotations quickly. Yep.
All right, thanks, Nick. Enjoy Charlotte and the rest of your day.
Thanks, Doug. Have a good day too.
You too.
Nick, we'll go to Mark Medina from USA Today next.
Hey, Nick, good to see you. I hope you're hanging in there. This is an off-court question, but in light of the news with the vaccine, I was wondering, what's your comfort level in taking it once it gets distributed, and to what extent is this something that you'll talk to the group about?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about it much. I think that my take on it would be, educate myself, and I'm sure we'll do a good job of educating everybody. I usually am a guy that would trust science and trust leadership. That if the vaccine's been tested and healthy and stuff, yeah, I certainly would take it. And I would assume we'll do the same. It'll be an education process for our staff and our organization. I would imagine the league always does a great job at, kind of taking the lead on these kind of things too. And again, I always say trust our NBA leadership for sure.
Thanks. We'll go to Stephen Long from Sportsnet next.
Hey, Nick. Thanks for doing this. I was just wondering, given the amount of players, amount of players you played last night, there are a lot of guys, but obviously not everyone is able to get perhaps as much of a look as you may have liked. Do you plan on kind of changing up your rotation for next game so you can see a greater sample size of more players, or a guy like a Paul Watson or even a Yuta Watanabe or something like that?
Yeah, possibly, Stephen. I think both those guys probably had a little bit more limited minutes than I would have wanted, as you mentioned, just to get a look at them. They are kind of battling for positionally. They both have some size at the wing, right? And they both kind of can shift to the 4 if we need to as well. And they're both intriguing, and we don't know a lot about them. Even though Paul's been with us, I would say I feel good about Paul's progression level. I think he's progressed well. He had a good short as it was, good off-season training. He's played well in the camp, and he looked good out there last night. And again, he's a solid player. I just like that they're both versatile and solid. Really, they cut, they move, they guard. They really try to do what we want to do as a team. They're good team players. So yeah, probably Stephen is the answer to that. I don't ever etch any of that stuff in stone. As you know, I kind of get an idea and kind of go with the flow of what it feels like once I get there, but probably is the answer.
And you mentioned before how like you kind of want a more fluid or a more lockdown, like kind of 8 or 9 man in your rotation. I was just wondering, like what are you looking specifically for a wing in that area, and in which case, like how much do these preseason games help determine that, or is that more kind of just stuff that you guys are seeing in practice and in camp?
Well, I think it's just a little bit more historically too, Stephen, right? I think there's a lot of guys that have played well. And there's guys there I know, I keep mentioning Matt, as a guy that, I kind of had him in and out and not play a few games, and he'd play, and then he'd have a good long run one, just kind of dabbling in and out with him, or maybe someone like Matt, for instance, just becomes, part of that group for sure every night. And then I think it gives him the best chance to improve, learn how to play against different people, different schemes, etc. I just think he's improved a lot, and he'll improve more if I can kind of lock him in there.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen.
Let's go to William Liu from Yahoo Sports.
Hey, Nick. Obviously, in the offseason, you lose Serge, you lose Mark. Those two obviously are very solid players, but I think part of what makes them really well, successful in their roles is that they communicate really well. Who would you say are the best communicators, defensively, especially on your group right now?
Well, I've something we stress in training camp. It's a big part of our system that the bigs can make calls. They're back behind the defense a lot, and a lot of the action's coming, through them. Screens, DHOs, pin downs, all that stuff. So they've got to be good communicators. And so far, I've all three of our bigs, I guess 4 if you include Henry too, but the first 3 have been very good vocal. Aaron's got a lot of experience. He's a communicator. I heard Alex a lot last night, which I hadn't quite heard much in the camp. So he was very good in the minutes that he played as far as that kind of role. And Chris is a talker out there too.
That's great. You mentioned the 2 backup centers there. You got an extended look at, obviously, Chris. You're very familiar with him, but also with Alex. What did you think of, your second string centers and how they did last night?
Yeah, I thought they were both good, and I think they're both very good. Obviously, actually, Chris he knows what we're doing, and he knows how to play this stuff, and he did it last night with great energy and force. Alex is still trying to learn a little bit of what we're doing, but he's made some really great strides in a week. And I started the second half with Alex only because I thought that they went small in their second unit in the first half last night. So that's why I wanted Alex to have a little better matchup with Zeller. They did come with Biombo, as a matter of fact, as the second center in the second half, but I thought maybe they go small, give Chris a better matchup out there. And, you've seen him do that before. I try to find the right matchup, on the night. You've seen me like pair Mark with Embiid or something all night long, or pair just to get the more physical guy with Baines and Alex. They're kind of true centers, and then when they're playing small, we tend to lean with Chris at the 5.
Cool. So we can kind of expect like a platoon situation with the reserve centers this year.
Yeah. Again, I think situationally, but again, Chris would probably fall into the same role as Matt, where I think if he's given a chance to kind of be the second unit center, pretty much consistently, I think it would improve his game. a lot as the season goes on. So he's another one of those guys that now we know him and he's been with us. He's made strides. He's certainly produced in games, and he needs a role, like a more defined role rather than just dabble in and out, probably.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
So I have 4 hands still up, Coach. We'll get through those and then we'll move on to OG, which will be great for everybody. And let's go to Peter, please. Go for it.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. We know that OG has been cultivated, developed within the system. We saw that his offensive input, you've asked a little bit more from him in the bubble. Do you foresee him playing a little bit more minutes as the offensive guy with Norm on the second unit, or how do you expect to get OG more touches as his development continues?
I'm not quite sure yet on who, usually one of the starters ends up being part of the second unit for stretches, right? Historically, it's sometimes it's been Kyle, right? He come out early in the first quarter and then start the second quarter with four other guys. Again, gives us a little bit of point guard and a little bit of scoring punch that we know is going to be there. But I certainly could see that because I kind of there may be a hole there a little bit at the backup 4, and that would lend OG from moving from 3 to 4. And I would say this, as you saw last year in the playoffs, OG, and even last night a little bit, he'll play some 5, right? He could just, again, if we end up with playing a second unit that's really small and we want to be able to guard, right, and switch, and things like that, then OG could end up playing in some second unit 5 too, maybe.
Okay,
We just totally contradicted myself there, saying I want Boucher to be our second unit 5 and OG might, but it depends, right?
Yeah, you're gonna go with what works. We know that it's one game, and a lot of people get excited. Malachi, his first game, was productive. This league is tough, and you know that. How important is it to get players that have played 2, 3, or 4 years of college and try and be impact players as opposed to a lot of the one and dones that come in and the expectations are so high?
Well, we've had pretty good success, right, with the 4-year guys, namely Fred and Norm, right? Coming a little bit older, a little bit more mature, whatever, just older, probably more games under their belt. For sure. But you're right. I mean, you know what this league's about. This league's about can you get out there and can you survive, first of all, and then you got to kind of do it on a consistent basis, right? That's kind of what really locks you in this league as a professional player is can you go out there night after night, because that's the hard part. The hard part. And again, I'm always amazed at the guys that put up 20, 25 points a night, and they do it every night, do it on Tuesday, and they can do it again on Thursday, and they do it again on Saturday, and they might have to sprinkle in a Sunday there too or something, but they still manage to do it night after night, and that's what makes them, the great pros that they are. So early days for him, he had a good debut, obviously. Just like his makeup as a player, I'm sure he's probably going to have some up and down moments, as all rookies do, but I think he's got good makeup mentally to fight through those things and bounce right back. Tough games and things that'll happen.
Thanks, Nick. Let's go to Josh Lundberg, please.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Good, Josh. How are you?
Good, thanks. In the past, you've sort of used JJ Redick as a blueprint for Matt, more offensively in terms of hunting shots and things like that. But is there something to take from JJ and his career defensively as well? I mean, JJ, like you were saying about Matt yesterday, has never really been considered a great individual defender, but is probably an underrated team defender. Is that sort of where you see Matt fitting in and what might help him carve out a bigger role this year and beyond?
Yeah, I think Matt's a good defender, Josh. The only thing that happens sometimes is he gets a size issue or an overpowered issue, right? Just whatever, you end up switching onto a 6'8" guy or something, or and he's got to fight like heck just because of his size. He does fight hard and he's tougher than maybe he appears to be. He's, certainly tough, but I think he is a good defender. Does all the team stuff. He does everything right. He's working hard. And again, I think part of, if I can get him out there a little more consistently, he'll learn how to adjust and things like that. And we'll also be able to run some schemes that, keep him away from some of that stuff if we can too.
Great. Thanks, Nick. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks, Josh.
Mike Ganter from Toronto Sun, you want to go for it?
Yeah. Hey, Nick. How are you?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Good. You mentioned earlier this week about how Malachi ended up coming over with Fred and some of the older the vets. Anyway, did you encourage that? And whether you did or not, how happy are you that it happened?
Yeah, I don't really encourage it, Mike. I think it happens. It's best if it happens kind of organically within the team like that. I think it's just guys showing leadership, right? It's Fred showing leadership about, and how this goes. Like guys aren't doing that, well, totally out of the goodness of their heart. They are eventually, but I think a young guy's got to earn some respect right away, and with with the way they play and with their work ethic. They got to want to work and stuff. And then I think Fred's a kind of a natural leader and he wants to get him up to speed and teach him some things, quickly. So yeah, I just give Fred credit for that.
And I know Fred's got years of experience on Malachi already, but how similar do you see these two guys? Like, there's been a few times where you've said, like, Fred does this, Malachi's doing that. How similar are these two players?
Well, I think they're pretty similar, right? I mean, listen, in my eyes, and Fred's up there a ways, yeah. Right? Fred can really guard. He's a big shot maker. There's some he's tough as nails. I mean, he's got a finishing game at the rim for his size. Like, I'm not sure I've seen that much of before, right? So those are pretty special characteristics that Fred has. I would say, Malachi's got a shooting component. He's got a toughness component, an IQ component, that are similar to Fred. So let's see how it plays out. Long way to go. But like I always say, Fred hit 4 threes in the fourth quarter of the game that won the title. Yeah. Not a whole lot of guys walking around that can say they've done that. So it's pretty big. It's a pretty big accomplishment, first of all.
I was thinking demeanor as well. They seem to be very.
Yeah, but you could both serious and quiet and want to win, man. That's a good place to start.
Got it. Thanks, Nick.
Yep. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Nick, we'll finish with Aaron Rose from SI.com.
Hey, Nick. Hope you're doing well.
Hey,
I sort of asked Malachi this last night about Matt Thomas. What does having a shooter like him on the court do, and how does it open things up for everyone else, even when he's sort of off ball? How does it force the defense just to adapt to him being on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, I think it distorts the defense a little bit, Aaron. It usually creates space in general, right? Which guys that handle the ball want, more open floor space to handle in. But it also, puts teams on high alert for other things too. When Matt's coming off things, there's other things that open just because he's going off with such pace, and he's if they don't jump out there and get him, he's gonna, have a shot at dotting a 3 on them. So again, it opens up weak side things. It opens up rolls to the basket. It opens up more space because we can again collapse the defense, which is what we try to do a lot. So yeah, it's important. He's a high level attention grabber anyway, right?
Sure. And then about Siakam, just what did you think of his game last night? It seemed like he certainly had some pretty good moments, and then some stuff that sort of reminded me at least of the bubble. What did you think of where he was getting the ball and how he played?
Yeah, I mean, he like you said, he had some up and down moments last night. I think again he's moving a little better. I think he feels better. He's got a little bit more of a smile on his face these days on a daily basis, which is good to see again. And we're working to get him get him some more of the buckets he's accustomed to getting, you know, some open floor buckets, some transition buckets, some of the inside spin move stuff that you know has been his kind of calling card in the past. But we'll just keep kind of plucking away at that a little bit and see if we can't get him a few more easy looks.
Thank you. Excited for OG.
Okay.
Thanks, Nick. Great afternoon.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. See you.